And then the average guy in the bike coalition doesn't know anything about this. I'm talking about the people who are running it. They are working hand in glove with these enormous developers of low-income housing. That's what's getting built in the center of your city with your tax subsidies. And these are developments that are called smart growth. This is the preferred development plan for United Nations Agenda 21.
All right, stay there. I want to talk about what they're doing here in Austin. It's incredible what the bike riders are doing. We're going to be taking your calls on Agenda 21 coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, but we're continuing here. And I want to continue after the break, because some stations don't carry this first 5 minutes. XM does, and about half our affiliates do. We're talking to author of Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21, available at Infowars.com. Hope you get it, folks. And while you're at it, get my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that tells you the rest of the story about once the global government's in place, the Agenda 21, the super unions, the breakdown of the borders, the forced inoculations. It's all their documents. Rosa Koire, author and researcher, a forensic investigator, a forensic commercial real estate appraiser, joins us. You were getting into the bike people. They're real aggressive. They're told to do this like a cult by the local bike groups. They're all big environmentalists. Well, they're not real environmentalists. They're shock troops who believe in this. They get out in the main roads and try to block you in groups. It's not critical mass where they're fighting back people who don't like bikes, but it's kind of that attitude. And they cut in front of you, and now they're like on, say, 6th Street. They've shut down part of the lane. It's a giant bike lane. And instead of pulling in to park in those businesses now, they make you go around and back in, which is super dangerous. And I've talked to the businesses there. It's destroyed their business. And then they take a bunch of parking spaces out and mandate little bitty parking and then bike parking. And it's just incredible how aggressive they are. But don't worry, bike riders. America's going to collapse. You're not going to have a job. You're going to have to ride a bike. So don't worry, you run things. But, I mean, you're correct. They are little gang members for them now. Please continue.
Yeah, this is the truth. And I ride a bike. Like I say, I'm not talking about that riding a bicycle is a bad thing. What I'm saying is that the bicycle coalitions are being used as the shock troops to demand this kind of development. And also, you're talking about that reverse back into your parking space. That is dangerous. These bike boulevards are dangerous. If you're a bike rider, these are dangerous for you. But we're not talking about what's actually good for a bicycle rider. We are talking about a globalist plan that remakes your city to a specific model. This is not only in the United States, it's all across the United States and all across the world. And you'll see these plans. They're called One Bay Area. They're called 4 states, one vision. They often have the word vision in them, or they might be your city 2050 or your city 2035. They're planning out to 2050. This is the planning, what we're looking at is a planning revolution here. And it's a totalitarian plan that they're implementing. I want to let people know that totalitarian plans all share, every totalitarian plan, whether it was under Stalin or Hitler or Mao, they all share the same elements. And you will recognize it here in your country, wherever you live. You'll see that there's being a takeover and a total control of all land use, of your educational system, of means of production, all of your resources, okay? Also, you'll see it's all for the common good. It's all for the fatherland. It's all for the homeland. It's all for everyone's good, right? The individual will lose against this. You see the scarcity mentality. Oh, there's not enough. You have to restrict yourself. You have to conserve. Am I a pig? Do I want to use everything up? No, but we're talking about, this is a totalitarian design.
Well, this is about them controlling who they dole it out to. This is about them setting the standards of your light bulb, your toilet, your parking space, your roads, destroying your roads, and they admit to shut you down to make you poor so they can control you. They all brag about it. They're a pack of scum.
Well, here's another element. Okay, there's 5 elements in the totalitarian plan.
Stay there. Start over when we come back. Start over, recap how they're doing it on the other side, and then phone calls. We'll do one more segment, just going over it, then your phone calls. And for folks that are holding, we're going to get to you. We'll be right back. And again, the book is Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21. It's available right now at Infowars.com. You support Rosa Koire. You support Infowars.com. So be sure and get the book and get it out to everybody. You know, a lot of callers have pointed out, we've pointed out, that there's global standardization. And a month ago at Davos, the Homeland Security put out a press release saying we are helping governments through this body and through other organizations and international planning groups set up security, set up supply chain, set up everything. They've got global standardized environment, roads, police, everything. And it's all done by grants by the big mega banks. You look at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all the groups caught laundering literally hundreds of billions in drug money. All the groups caught, like Wells Fargo and Wachovia, owning and leasing the drug courier aircraft. That came out in Bloomberg and AP. Again, it's purely about land grabbing. And it's about getting rid of your local government. And they come in, they run people for mayor, they run them for the planning boards, they get them all in position. And the first thing they do is start grabbing rural areas, saying it's going to be a buffer zone. Then they flip it and sell it, always. Then with that money, they start taking over more land. And it is just savage. It is savage. I mean, around here, they've taken farms, ranches. It's eminent domain. They pay you almost nothing. You saw the cases in Connecticut where they were taking houses that have been there 3 generations and charging you to have them taken. Because if you don't take their pittance, then when they win, you pay the fees. My dad, a few years ago, for our family land, got a letter from the state saying, here's your landowner Bill of Rights. And, of course, they called tyranny a Bill of Rights, and they said, you got just a few weeks when somebody wants to take the property or buy it or do a pipeline or something. You got a couple weeks, I think a total of 6. And then if you don't accept it, we'll just take it. That's your new right. And it's just criminal government. And the NAPTA superhighways are meant to shut down the roads in Agenda 21 where you can't exit. There's already toll roads all the way from Texas 35 up into Oklahoma and then into Kansas. It was like this a decade ago. You try to drive, you can drive 100 miles before you can exit. You see all the ghost towns. They've blocked up the exits. They were there before. And then they build McDonald's and things in the middle. And select groups get to have the business. I mean, it is incredible what they're doing. It's so diabolical. And Rosa Koire was talking about how they've taken over and financed the bike groups that supposedly lobby for bikes. And they're taking over major streets. They're turning the parking around backwards where it's super dangerous. It's about, we're going to tell you your toilet. We're going to tell you your light bulbs. We're going to tell you your house. We're going to tell you where you can build. We're going to tell you about your car. And they admit, in fact, put the map on screen for folks watching at prisonplanet.tv. If not, just Google Dr. Michael Kaufman UN maps. These were shown to Congress. This is a map made off of the UN diagrams of what they want by 2020. This is from 1992. You can see them doing it now. Half the U.S. is off limits to humans. All that in red. Okay? Half the country. In fact, the one we've got on screen is kind of blown out in yellow. Show them this map, the one I found. PropertyRightsResearch.org actually has a better res one. I actually own some big ones around here I got from him that are the high-res ones that show it down to county level. But you can see that. Red is totally off limits, half the country. Buffer zones is about 30% of what's left, and you're left with under 20% total that you can use. Under 20%. And that's a good map. You can see King Ranch down there is in orange. Okay, going back to our guest and then to the calls in the next segment. Rosa, continuing, you were going over the 5 factors of totalitarianism that we see under Stalin, you name it. We're seeing under this global, corporate, neo-feudalistic serf system where they take over via bureaucracy and through finance capital. Please continue.
Yes, this is a loss of your independence. That, if you're going to distill it all the way down, that's where it goes. It's a total loss of your independence, your food independence, your land independence, your water independence, your civil rights. And a totalitarian state has 5 elements, 5 main elements. And that is, of course, total control by the state of education, energy, transportation, all of the elements that make up a country, right? Your land use, your water. And then you have control of all production, right? Then you've got, it's all for the common good. So you have the fatherland, the homeland, everything for the common good. You had this under Hitler, under Stalin, under Mao. You're hearing this now. This is a communitarian plan. That's what communitarian is. It's balancing the rights of the individual against the rights of the larger community, in this case, the global community. And you will lose. Scarcity, that's another element of a totalitarian plan. Right now, this is the plan is, okay, right at this moment, you have to pull in, you've got to conserve, you need to restrict yourself, you have scarcity. But then here's another element, is the glorious future, the vision of the glorious future. And of course, you look at these plans that you're seeing all over the United States and across the world that are like Vision 2020, Your City 2050, 4 states, 1 vision, 5 counties, 1 vision. You'll see this, 1 Bay Area. It's all over the world. Okay, these plans are all the same all across the world.
And they're openly trying to get rid of sheriffs and make it an appointed position and have the city under international control, as Schwarzenegger said in USA Today, absorb the county, which is completely backwards. The county is chartered by the state and is the authority. The city is the little incorporation. So again, it's the cities taking over the counties, which is a complete fraud.
Well, what you have is basically a regional takeover, and those boards are not, they may be made up of elected officials, but they're not elected boards. And this is the building block to mega regions, which I'd like to talk about as well. There are 11 mega regions in the United States. 50 states are going to be a thing of the past, and you will see 11 mega regions, and ultimately globalism and an erasure of of national borders. So I want to tell you what the last 2 elements of a totalitarian state are. And we're talking about a corporatocracy, these public-private partnerships. This is an element of the creation of fascism, totalitarianism. So you've got this vision of the vibrant future. That word vibrant, the green, glorious, vibrant future. Fast trains, everyone on a bike, everyone smiling, drinking coffee downstairs in your downstairs coffee shop. Everyone, no one seems to be working in these visions, right? Then the other element of a totalitarian state is terror. The war on terror is a war on you. And I know you know that. This is what's happening now, is you cannot travel freely. You can't get on a plane.
That's exactly what Agenda 21 says, is you're not going to get flight unless they authorize the trip. You're not going to have a car unless they authorize it. It's all admitted is what's crazy. I mean, people are like, well, they're going to bankrupt the airlines. That's the plan. They don't want you flying. They'll do whatever it takes. They're even now, the TSA, I saw an article a month ago, is even saying in some cases they are going to go in the body now with a nurse. You're like, strip search isn't bad enough behind closed doors? If they can't stop you to fly, they're going to start. I mean, it is incredible.
Yeah. And they call us crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
You have to get excited and upset about this stuff because it's real. And the thing is, I wouldn't like people to feel paralyzed by this, because the fact is we are waking up all across the world. People are joining together. It doesn't matter what your political party is. It doesn't matter what your affiliations are, whether you're gay, straight, whatever. I happen to be gay, and I'm telling you that because I've seen a whole bunch of ridiculous stuff in the press too about me. And the truth is, this stuff's irrelevant when you get right down to it. We're talking about our freedom here. We're talking about our freedom as free people across the world. And there are way more of us than there are of them. So we need to do our civil disobedience. We need to stand up, speak out, educate ourselves and each other. We need to spread this information. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. This is real. Agenda 21 is the agenda for the 21st century. If you go to america2050.org, you will see 11 mega regions. This is the plan. It's to erase the boundaries, the city, county, state, and national boundaries.
And worldwide, they've got 10 mega regions, and they even admit in the SPP documents that they're merging the countries under this. It's already happened.
That's right. Yes, that is right. And people need to take a look at this, because what you need to do is ask your elected officials whether they support Agenda 21, where they stand on ICLEI. Now listen, there are going to be some good politicians, but most of them are bad. It's our job to make bad politicians do the right thing. It is our job as Americans, as French people, as Australians, as New Zealanders, as free people across the United States, across the world, to stand up and say, no, we will not be subjected to this plan. We need to stop it now. We're in the end game now. So what you need to do is educate yourself, make flyers. We have flyers on our website for you that you can make. And it doesn't sound like something that sounds like fun, but believe me, you get out there with 7,000 flyers like we did, and we stopped some of these plans in our city here in Santa Rosa, California.
Get it, folks, and while you're at it, get my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement, that tells you the rest of the story about once the global government's in place, the Agenda 21, the super unions, the breakdown of the borders, the forced inoculations. It's all their documents. Rosa Koire on Agenda 21 coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, but we're continuing here. And I want to continue after the break because some stations don't carry this first 5 minutes. XM does, and about half our affiliates do. We're talking to author of Behind the Green Mask, Agenda 21, available at Infowars.com. Hope you, author and researcher, a forensic investigator, a forensic commercial real estate appraiser, joins us. You were getting into the bike people. They're real aggressive. They're told to do this like a cult by the local bike groups. They're all big environmentalists. Well, they're not real environmentalists. They're shock troops who believe in this. They get.
And then the average guy in the bike coalition doesn't know anything about this. I'm talking about the people who are running it. They are working hand in glove with these enormous developers of low-income housing. That's what's getting built in the center of your city with your tax subsidies. And these are developments that are called smart growth. This is the preferred development plan for United Nations Agenda 21.
All right, stay there. I want to talk about what they're doing here in Austin. It's incredible what the bike riders are doing. We're going to be taking your